Hey, this is Sam Black with a Magic Origins draft. I've opened a pretty unexciting rare in Displacement Wave, which I think can be playable but is nothing special. The card that jumps out at me here is Jesse and the Thief, which is just great. Other cards in the pack that are interesting are Irosis Champion. It's really the next best card by quite a bit. Subterranean Scout's pretty good, but very much, just a common. I think if the person I'm passing to took a red or white card, they'll almost certainly take Arrow as a champion, although if it's a red card, there's a case to be made for Subterranean Scout, potentially. And if they didn't, then it's going to be a hard pick. They probably won't give up something else to take this, and we'll just take whatever. Anyway, as for my draft, here, cards that are appealing are this thing's pretty good if you get the artifacts for it. This is pretty good no matter what. Both of those put me into red. I think Necromantic Summons is a really powerful card. Titan Strength is good with Jesse and Thief, but not enough that I'd really worry about it right now. Read the Bones is a fine card. I think the red cards are the most powerful here. So it's between a card that's just generally good and a card that's really good if you get the right synergies. Being in blue already, I'm likely to want to be the artifact deck, so I think I'll take this guy and just hope to get there. Could be just wrong. That other card is very powerful and is just much less narrow and great either way. Here, I think Bugger Brute's good, but red has a lot of good 3-drops, and I already have a blue 3-drop. So I don't think I want to prioritize those. I think Call of the Full Moon is interesting. It's really good on Jesse and Thief, but the drawback is real. The upside's pretty real too, though. I'm actually going to take Infectious Bloodlust. I like getting real aggressive in this format, and Infectious Bloodlust is great at doing that. It's really early, so I might get multiples, and it's good when that happens. None of the cards here are super great, and this will be almost as good as Call of the Full Moon on Jesse and Thief. This pick is, well, the powerful cards are Council's Lieutenant, Sphinx's Tutelage, and Separatist Void Mage. Council's Lieutenant is not in my colors, and not worth moving for, I think, especially given that Separatist Void Mage and Sphinx's Tutelage are both very good. Sphinx's Tutelage is very much a different direction than Infectious Bloodlust, and Separatist Void Mage plays perfectly with what I'm doing, and especially with Jesse and Thief. So I think I'm going to go for the conservative Void Mage pick that doesn't split my strategy. Here, I think I just take the Subterranean Scout, stay on plan with blue-red aggression, also plays well with Jesse and Thief. Next best card in this pack is, I guess, Blightcaster. I don't really like the Blightcaster deck in this format, and I don't really like any of these other cards. Elemental Bond is good in red-green. This pick, I think, is between Alchemist's Vial, which is just a reasonable enabler for this guy, and lets it, helps push Jesse and Thief through. It gives prowess the turn that you play it, and then also prevents a blocker at some other point. But I think I want to move in on the Infectious Bloodlust while it's relatively cheap to pick up. If I end up with a lot more artifact synergies, there's a chance that I'll regret not having this vial, but I could also see just not really worrying about this guy, and I think there's a lot to be said for having a bunch of bloodlusts. I have not liked Clash of Wills very much in this format. I think it's somewhat better when you're really aggressive, but I just have disliked it enough that I don't think it's what I'm going to take here. Cobble Brute is good with Stratus Walk, which are the two cards I'm considering. I think that I'm going to go for Stratus Walk. I think that it's good with more different things, whereas Cobble Brute's good if I have Stratus Walk, and I think it's going to be easy to pick up Cobble Brutes later, and I like the idea of Stratus Walking something that I'm Infectious Bloodlusting. I really hate this card, but I think that I want to just solidify my colors past these reasonable white and black cards, past the green card, and just try to cut blue and red. And I think that Nivix Barrier is never a card I'm going to want, so I might as well take Calculated Dismissal and plan not to play it, but maybe sideboard it in against powerful cards that I need to counter. Wow, tabling this is pretty great. This was the pack that I opened where I thought that this was the best red card other than the red-white card, and one of the better cards in the pack. If this weren't here, I'd take Veteran Sidearm and be pretty happy about it, but with this here, I'm happy to take this. It's also a good play on turn 4 with Infectious Bloodlust. You can play this and target itself, and then put Infectious Bloodlust on it and get in for 4 unblockable. This pick is between Maritime Guard and Evolving Wilds. Maritime Guard is obviously not the most aggressive creature, but blue-red can end up short on 2-drops, and while I have a lot of 2-mana spells, these Infectious Bloodlusts actually want cheap creatures, and Maritime Guard ends up with pretty good stats when you Bloodlust it, so I'm going to take that. This isn't a deck that should need Evolving Wilds. Here I'll just take and sideboard the blue card. I don't like hate drafting a Might of the Masses here because I'd rather just solidify the person I'm passing to in green. I like Bonded Construct when I'm aggressive. Well, I don't like it less when I'm aggressive, but I do like it when I'm counting artifacts, and it's a little better when I have a lot of 2s. And again, I'm fine just passing green cards. This might end up reasonable against me if I have a bunch of artifacts, but most likely they'll just be Thopters, and I'm not really worried about it. I guess it can kill the Infectious Bloodlusts, but again, I'm just going to keep taking things in my colors. Take Bellows Lizard, which is actually a card I could see playing in this deck. Open Languish. If I had any soul, I would ignore the Languish and take Majoring Bully, but that's not the world that I live in. I think I might even table the Majoring Bully, and it's not a big deal if I don't. I mean, it is really good with Infectious Bloodlust. Majoring Bully is pretty good in this deck, but I'm going to take Languish. One could say that I was taking it to not get destroyed by it, but mostly I'm just taking it because this is a draft on Magic Online, and this is the thing to do in a pre-release draft in Magic Online. Yeah. Towergeist versus Lightning Javelin is actually pretty interesting. Towergeist is a really powerful card. Flying is great, card advantage is great, but it's also kind of slow. I kind of feel like I want to just kill their creature and keep getting in there on turn 4. So, as much as I like Towergeist, I'm actually just going to take the Javelin here, which is a little surprising to me, but I think it's right. I could actually honestly see taking Rune Servitor, but I have a lot of 4s and not a lot of 2s, or a lot of 2s and not a lot of 4s relative to where red-white or red-blue often is. So I think it's better to just make sure I have the removal spell, but Rune Servitor is very reasonable. Ups the artifact count, ups the 2-drop count for my enchantments, and I might end up in 4-drop trouble. And maybe I've talked myself into it. Oh well. I think this is Veteran Sidearm with some disappointment that I'm not actually black. Since I've seen 3 black rares in a row this pack. But yeah, I think Veteran Sidearm will go well in this deck. I don't love it in general, but it's good with what I'm doing, and none of this other stuff is. It's a pretty straightforward pick, I think. This is between Titan's Strength and Chandra's Fury. Both are very respectable. I think I'm actually going to take the Fury. It's incredible against some decks. And I'd definitely like to have one, and this seems like a reasonable place to end up with it. Plus, it's just particularly good in my deck that might want a Lava X effect anyway. This is a difficult pick. Chief of the Foundry and Separatist Void Mage are both great. Chief of the Foundry is really good with anything that makes Thopters. And I could use the 3-drop, but I kind of feel like Separatist Void Mage is just too good to pass. But it is a 4. But it's the 4 that I want. I think it's Separatist Void Mage, but Chief of the Foundry is certainly defensible. It ups my artifact count for this guy, and plays really well if I get Thopter stuff later, and fits in my curve well. But Separatist Void Mage is just great, and also great against me. But this kind of situation is what makes me regret it, where if I had Chief, then I could take this as a 4-drop and it would be a better 4-drop and my curve would be better. Whereas now I'm encouraged to take the Scrapskin Drake for my curve. And I guess that's fine. Having Scrapskin Drake and Separatist Void Mage isn't even necessarily worse than having Chief and Aspiring Aeronaut. I normally don't love Scrapskin Drake, but I think it's actually pretty good in this deck. The Void Mages mean that the fact that it can't block isn't as important because I'm just playing a tempo game and I have a lot of good aggression. It's also another great thing to put an Infectious Bloodlust on. I'm going to take the Giant. This might have an ability that makes it look aggressive, but it isn't. This is just a much more realistic rate for a creature for my deck. If things go really well, I actually won't end up playing Skyraker Giant, but it's definitely not a bad card, whereas this is pretty bad. It's a pretty easy Claustrophobia. Guardian Simulitis is a respectable artifact if I were going for artifact count, but I'm certainly not this desperate for it, and I'm also more aggressive than I would want to be if I were playing Guardian Simulitis. Tabled the Majoring Bully scoreboard. If I'd taken Majoring Bully the first time around and tabled Artificer's Epiphany, I'd take it, but only maybe play it. It's not going to be great in my deck. It might be a Divination, but this isn't really a deck that wants a Divination. Tabled the Rune Servitor also. Well, everything's coming up for me. Sideboard a Jambe Tome. Sideboard Hate Draft Timberpack Wolf. Now I think people around me are solidified in their colors. This isn't going to put someone into green, and it is going to be relatively good against me because it's just going to block early. This Smashed Smithereens is a nice pickup. I'm not seeing a ton of artifact stuff, so I assume someone else is in it, and if I play against someone where I can cast Smash Smithereens will be really good in my deck, since the 3 damage really matters. Don't want this one. I mean, don't care about this one. Taking it is the last card. This is actually a good Days Undoing deck. The next best card, or the other card that's good for me, is a Crowan Sergeant, which is great, but I'm really well positioned for Days Undoing because my curve is super low. Ordinarily, I mean, Time Twister is a great card. Days Undoing is very close to it. It's not something that I think is powerful enough that you just want to put it in any draft deck, but in a draft deck where it's good, it can be great, and I think this might be that. I definitely want to try it out here. I don't know for sure if it's actually right over a Crowan Sergeant, but I learned way more by taking it here, and I'm planning to play it. Whirler Rogue is basically the best card. I don't just mean in this pack, I mean in Magic. Really just the best uncommon in this format. I like it even more than Sentinel of the Eternal Watch, which I think is another one of the best uncommons. Tabling Ramroller would be sweet for my deck. Don't think that'll happen, but it could. I'd also be happy to get Watercourser or Pricklebore. It's likely that I'll see none of those, but I have a lot of outs to be happy with the next time I see this pack. But picking up Whirler Rogue here is great. And I'm already getting heavy on 4s, which is what I was saying about this color combination. So here I could take my 3rd Infectious Bloodlust, or Pricklebore, or Ramroller. I haven't played Ramroller, but this looks like a deck where it should be pretty good. It's going to be a 4-3 pretty often, which is kind of huge in this format. And if I need to, I can put Stratus Walk or Infectious Bloodlust on it. The 3rd Infectious Bloodlust is pretty good, but I have 2. The second one is the most important one, because it means that when you lose the first one, you can get another. And I really want more 3s, especially 3s that hit really hard to finish my opponent off with Separatist Void Mage or Whirler Rogue. Also, Ramroller into Whirler Rogue is a great curve. You get to use the new Thopters to make this unblockable and hit for 4. So I'm going to Ramroll here. Angel's Tomb is a good aggressive artifact. My creature count is just barely at the point where I can support it. I could also see taking Bonded Construct, Anchor to the Aether, or Disperse here. I think I actually want the Disperse. I think it's between Anchor to the Aether and Disperse. I like the idea of getting something else that's going to get a permanent off the board. I really like the way that Disperse plays with Days Undoing, where I can end of turn Disperse, untap Days Undoing. But my curve doesn't hate Anchor to the Aether. It just puts me a card ahead of Disperse. I guess I'll take Anchor. This could easily be wrong, but both are good in my deck. I think I'd rather have Pricklebore than Negate. I don't want a lot of 5s in this deck, but the 5s that I do have, I want them to be Pricklebores. This card's very difficult to block, so it's good when you're ahead, and I'm certainly planning on being the aggressor. Really not going to play another Maritime Guard. It's already one of the cards I'm most likely to cut. I could hate this Spider. That's a huge good card, though it's pretty bad against double Separatist Void Mage Anchor to the Aether, so I might be happy just passing it. Aerial Volley's okay against me. Maybe good enough to sideboard in. Maybe I just take Maritime Guard, because I might want more 2s in some matchups. I don't super care about this other stuff, and it's just a bunch of relatively good green cards. Take the Majoring Network. I'll just take the Maritime Guard. Nothing I can play here, so I could play the Artificer's Epiphany, but I'm already looking at 26 cards, and this isn't an effect that I really want, even if it's Divination. I could take it to sideboard the Divination. This is so many good green cards. I guess no one's in green. These are, like, it's just a bunch of outstanding green cards. I'm not even sure if this thing is more scary than Leaf Yielder. Maybe I'll just take the Epiphany for my sideboard. There are so many good green cards there that anyone who is actually green is going to end up with a good card out of the pack anyway. It's possible that I was supposed to hate the Leaf Gilder. I don't know. I'm going to side this in against someone who has, like, a lot of removal, like a really attrition-based matchup or something, so figured maybe it's worth having. Wow. Just an Unholy Hunger still in the pack. It's kind of weird. Especially since this is coming from the direction that I passed, like that priest guy. But I think I just sideboard Bone Dash. So black and green are open, and I'm seeing a lot of red and blue. It's weird. So I guess people are in white. I did get past a lieutenant, which is weird, but I've also seen drafts where a huge number of the players are in white, so I don't know how Cruel Revival can table. That makes no sense. I'm gonna put it in my sideboard, but that's bizarre. That's pre-release drafts, I guess. And now here's the best black coming. I'll put that in my sideboard. I wonder if we're getting anywhere near the point where I can side into blue-black control if I need to. Just cut the red cards, bring in Reeve Soul, Cruel Revival, Languish, the card draw, book, maybe Calculated Dismissal, Nivix Barrier, Bone Dash. It's kind of funny. I want third Bloodlust over second Construct. Could take Way to the Underworld for my sideboard deck, but I'm gonna Infectious Bloodlust. Looks like if I'd moved into black for this Languish, I would have gotten there. Just abandon half my deck. Take this Bonded Construct. Not sure if I'll play it. I think I'm probably not playing this Skyraker Giant. It's double red in a deck that's trying to play Claustrophobia, and it's a 4 when I don't really want another. And then if I don't play these Maritime Guards... no, I think I just hate the Oak Docks. It's kind of good against me. I think Bonded Construct is better than Bellows Lizard because it is an artifact for these things. Plus it blocks well without me needing mana up. Or attacks. It's possible that I'm 16 land. I should think about that. Alright, so this is pretty close to being a 16 land deck. Or I could cut Stratus Walk. Stratus Walk could be the cut because I have all these other cards that need me to have a creature, and so having another one that needs me to have a creature might not be the best. But I only have 14 creatures. Curious what my blue-black deck looks like. I don't plan on playing it, but I just want to see. Well, the Ram Roller doesn't make a lot of sense in this deck, and the curve is horrible. Alright, good to know. There's probably a slightly different way that I can build that, but it's definitely not where I want to be. I think I am going to cut the Stratus Walk. I wonder if I should play one of the Maritime Guards, actually. 14 creatures is not very many. I could cut a Bonded Construct. I could just play Guards over Constructs. This guy gets a lot worse if I do that. I could also sideboard the Chandra's Fury. If I sideboard the Fury and play both guards and 16 lands, that doesn't seem totally unreasonable. Cut a 5-drop, add some 2s. I think I like that. Let's see. Kinda want 9 blue sources, but I don't really like having only 7 red. This is really a 9/8 deck, which is the problem with going down a land. I guess I can just be 8/8. I have a little trouble casting Claustrophobia and Whirler Rogue, but that's fine. What's really important is just being able to cast my stuff early so I can curve out. If I have like 1 or 2 powerful cards that have to wait a little while, that's fine. Alright, I guess this is my deck.